All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of LearnBiz, the podcast. I am Sandy B, and I'm here with the lovely Lisa K. Crawford, who will be joining us momentarily. So, before we get started today, just wanted to say some special thank yous. So appreciative for those that continue to support this channel, Learn Biz, the podcast, where we talk all things entrepreneurship and throw in a bit of current events to help you learn some lessons to build and grow your business. One of the things that I'm noticing is we get some folks that really are catching the replays. We get some folks hopping on with us to chat live. So very, very thankful for those opportunities. As well, want to share with you that we have dropped our LearnBiz Entrepreneur Journal, which is now available on Amazon. You could literally just type in LearnBiz Entrepreneur Journal and you will find it available right now on Amazon. And, we've had a couple of folks tap in. So if you are interested in building up your business and journaling for your business, please join us in our movement. So you can catch this right here on Amazon, Learn Biz Entrepreneur Journal. Lisa and I have been journaling since just before Thanksgiving. And I'm definitely finding that this journaling process is really helpful to keep me focused, to keep me centered on the lessons that I'm learning daily, to keep me doing some small tasks each day, and as well celebrating my accomplishments daily. So we have a few folks that have started to join us in this journaling process, that have purchased their journal. It's now available on Amazon.com. So please, please, please check that out when you get a chance. So to get into today's show, our question for today is, are you a guru in your business? And the funny thing about this topic is that we see so many stories about gurus in the online space. People are always talking about how, they are, a financial guru, or they're, like a business guru. And, many times those statements don't align, right? Because a guru is somebody who is really seen as somewhat of an expert. And I think with social media space as it is, many times people miss the mark when it comes to business and being a guru in business. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some different individuals who have really leaned into their business, and really stand out, sometimes controversially. And since the buzz is circulating when it comes to this particular character, I figured I'd jump on the conversation as well, because I think some lessons can be learned and some dialogue can be had. So who I am talking about, you must know, is the one, the only Dion Coach Prime Sanders. And when I say that I have yet to see this much controversy over someone making a decision that works for them, in many, many years. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen this much uproar over someone's decision, but it's partially his own fault. When you talk a good game, people are going to call you on your talk. I think my problem is, do we really hold people accountable anymore? We're trying to hold him accountable. Do we really hold people accountable? Because if we are, he's not the only one that we have to have a conversation about. But I digress. Good morning, Rigo. Thank you so much for tuning in. He says, yes, this journal is great and also good to write down your goals and achievement. So thanks. Thank you so much, Rigo. You've always been a great supporter, and we truly, truly appreciate you, as well as those who have already purchased their LearnBiz Entrepreneur Journal, available now on Amazon. So let's get into this here. Deion Sanders is, a character of great proportion, as I could describe him. He has definitely stimulated emotion all across the country, maybe even the world, on this topic of HBCUs and supporting HBCUs, and leaning in on the fact that the HBCU has a lot of talent and opportunity. Well, the where Dion went a little bit left field is in giving people belief and hope, that the HBCU could have a surge and have the opportunities that the predominantly white institutions typically enjoy at a fruitless level, at a fruitful level. Um, One of the things that was his foundational statement when he went to Jackson State University, which is a historically Black college and university, is that, things need to change. There needs to be a change at that level. And he was, in his words, to be a bit of a change agent. Now, where my feeling about this goes a little left is the
Sandy, I'm
fact
here
that,
with you.
hello,
I'm here with you. Can you hear me?
hey Lisa, how you doing? Good
Oh,
morning.
good morning. Sorry about the brief delay there.
No problem. So we're talking this morning about Deion Sanders' Rocky Mountain High, which is serving as a bit of a low for Black colleges. So the Hall of Famer had a successful stint at Jackson State University, which is a historically Black college in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And his experience at Jackson State University definitely brought joy, definitely brought a light, definitely brought money to not only Jackson State University, but to the exposure of the historically Black college football programs across the United States.
Sure
So,
has. I've been watching the games on television. The historically Black college and university football games. I've been loving it.
yes. And so this comes at a very shocking moment that he would choose to move his talents to Colorado University football program, leaving many feeling betrayed. Now, I have kind of like a it's like a two-edged sword here, because on the one hand, we all know the stories of the historically Black college and university, financially, resource-wise, and the whole nine. And part of that story was bringing a Deion Sanders would bring a grand level of exposure. I mean, when you look
Yes.
at what he did at Jackson State, new facilities, right? New
Right.
uniforms, new spirit, winning season, took them to the SWAC championship, which is
And
the South.
he's a celebrity in his own right. Yeah.
He's been a celebrity for much of his adult career. He is known as someone who has, he's a Hall of Famer in the football world. He's known to be a personality that stimulates change wherever he goes. And so, on the one hand, of course, that would be an ideal situation to have someone of his stature come to an HBCU to provoke change. The
Mm-hmm.
question is, how long do we expect him to be there to provoke change? And when does the HBCU now take the helm and keep the effort moving, right? Like when is that decision made?
I think.
Rigo,
I think. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Rigo says he is a good coach and is getting attention to the HBCU. And now that he has made that mark, he is going to Colorado, which that's where the sour piece comes. Go ahead, Lisa.
Well, I was gonna say, like, if once you're committed to a historically Black college or university or to that, I mean, some people look at it like you should always be committed to it. It's not a thing where you're in and then you're out. But at the same time, Deion Sanders is his own man, his own entrepreneur. And at the end of the day, he has to look out for his well-being, his salary, and his future and what he's going to be doing. So, I mean, it's a mix of things to consider, but at the end of the day, what Deion wants is going to prevail. I mean, that's how most of us are, if we're honest, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been listening to social media for the last like 3 days straight, listening to YouTubers comment on this. I mean, some are calling him a sellout, some hate him, some want him, all kinds of wrong. Some want him to fail. There's all kinds of stuff. And then I hear folks that are saying, look, are you going to stay at your $300,000 job, or are you going to take that $5.9 million job? Most of us are not going to stay at that $300,000 job. That's fact. The
Come on
second
now.
part is, what contributions has he made to Jackson State University? What contributions has he made to historically Black colleges and university? And how do we make a determination of when it is the right time for him to leave, right? Like, ideally, to me, the harm to me is this. I feel like he should have given it a little bit more time. That's just my feeling, right? But that's my opinion. He's the only one that knows when it's time for him to go,
Well,
right?
maybe he feels betrayed because there was a coach that just treated him badly that was in the news not too long ago. We talked about it. Another SWAC coach who basically said Deion Sanders is not SWAC. And, he's been disrespected by the players on another team. And that didn't seem to get a lot of admonishment or pushback from probably those players' coaches, the coach. And I'm just saying, at the end of the day, Deion is going to look out for Deion because nobody else will be looking out for Deion. And he's gotten some disrespect in the SWAC.
Well, Rigo says he is going where the money is, and he's trying to be in the NFL as assistant coach. That's his goal. Now, interestingly enough, here's where I have some difficulty with this Deion story. Deion came in basically saying, I don't want to go to the NFL. I want HBCUs to get on an even playing field. I want the attention that other football programs receive to be the same attention that HBCUs receive. And that we at HBCUs, and I don't say we because I'm not an HBCU alum, so I'm not involved in that, but he was basically saying, at HBCUs, we can provoke the change that we want. We have to focus on us and drive talent to us and seek out talent for us, right? So the attention piece, no one can deny that, right? No one can deny that most of us, including myself, did not know Nan one, HBCU football, anything on TV, online, in any space. Like, I don't think I've ever in life watched an HBCU football game aside from physically being there when I was in the marching band at University of Miami, and
Exactly.
we played after. I don't remember if we played. I think we played FAMU. So that was the first time I'd really crossed seeing a HBCU football program. And in addition, just hearing about people talk about, the classics and stuff like that. But most of the folks that were going to the classics, generally speaking, they weren't going for the football game. They were going for the fanfare. They were going for the bands. That's what I remember about HBCUs growing up. So when I think about this storyline, I'm like, unfortunately for Deion, he sold people on something that he can't take back. And that's the level of, when some of the folks are saying he's a hypocrite, yeah, to a degree he is. Because there's something important that he was saying, which is, we can bring talent to HBCUs. We have talented players too. We can bring talent here. So now when you get an opportunity to take your talent somewhere, some of the people are saying like, you didn't go to another HBCU. You decided to completely shift gears and go to a predominantly white institution, which is something you talked about when you came in, saying, why are our kids going to those when they can stay here at home? So I can give him the pushback on that level. But this stuff about him being a sellout and him being this and that, and he's like the devil now. No, ma'am. You all need to push back on that and think about HBCUs on television. And we're not talking about any old television. Some of it was like regular old, like ESPN. Yeah, ESPNU, ESPN Plus, right? But more so than any of us have ever seen. Am I correct in saying that, Lisa?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're also talking about money circulating. And I've heard that the numbers were in the millions coming into Jackson, Mississippi, coming into the other areas where they were playing, against other teams, sold out games, right?
Mm-hmm.
All these opportunities, winning streaks. So for anyone to basically act like he didn't have a contribution, come on now. He contributed some of his own salary to fix facilities and do all that stuff. How many HBCU grads have even done a contribution to the HBCU? So this is where, we get into the conversation about, are you a guru in your business? And I can really say that in his career, if we look at the span of his career and the relevancy of his status, all these years, I would say Deion is a guru in his business. And part of the reason I say that is because he provokes emotion at all levels, right? Very
Mm-hmm.
negative emotion, very positive emotion, but he provokes emotion, which therefore would provoke change. And to me, one of the things that a guru can really do is push the envelope and create success. And one thing we can't say is that Dion has not been successful in his career over time, right?
Yeah, yeah, he played two professional leagues, right?
He played
And
two professional leagues. Yep.
and yeah, and so I was just looking up did you define guru? Because I think I know what it means pretty much, but I thought let me just look this up.
What you got?
Master, a master teacher. Though any master teacher is sometimes referred to as a guru, now the word guru is used in English very loosely. Traditionally, guru refers to a religious or spiritual teacher who not only has deep knowledge that can lead to some enlightenment, but has direct experience. So it was religious, but it's been, moved over into kind of like the general language. And I would say it's someone who's a master at the top of their profession. But it's from the Buddhist and Hindu religions originally referred to their religious leaders as gurus.
And I've also seen guru defined as like an influential teacher or popular expert. I guess to connect it to more, current day.
Current,
Um,
yes.
but when I think about Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, the person that has surpassed several decades and maintained a level of, I would say, success. Who better to teach young athletes about how to leverage endorsements? Who better to teach athletes, especially those who are extremely talented at their position or in their sport, how to leverage their talents across the board? How to tap into not only your brand, but also tap into your talent at a level that you become marketable across the board, whether it be on television. I know that he's done some sports analyst work. I know that he's done commercials. I know that he's done a lot of reality type television. He's crossed a lot of bounds. So, who better to teach young men, specifically young Black men, how to level themselves in this playing field that tends to not be really pushing Black men to do these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to still be articulate and to still be themselves all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So I think that in looking at the big picture, Dion is a business guru. He's a guru in his business. He actually maintains who he is while at the same time maintaining high levels of success.
Mm-hmm.
Good,
Yeah, I
bad, or
think
indifferent.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he, in his own right, he is, as we all are. We are gurus when we stay in our professions and we take the hard knocks and the licks and the lumps along with some of the successes, and we continue to stay in our professional spaces. That's what makes us gurus. It's yeah, you don't get to be on master level by having experienced nothing. You have to have gone through, I would say generally, you have to have gone through some trials and tribulations, had some knocks, some licks along the way, some setbacks, and still you come out smelling like a rose, so to speak. Still you are operating in that space where you want to be. Still you are striving for successes. I think, to me, that is my definition of guru. Since everyone seems to be making up their modern definitions of the word, I think that would be mine. Folks who just continue to stay in their spaces because they believe they have a purpose for being there, no matter what come, what may.
And I think to add some layer to that, I would say that being a guru in your business involves knowing yourself, knowing your skills and abilities and being able to tap into them. So, having the licks and the experience, perfect. However, if you haven't figured out what your thing is, what your juice is, you still got some ways to go, right? You still have
Mm-hmm.
some work to do, because being a guru involves being able to really tap into the core of something that is outside of your control. And you're now at the level of being able to say, all right, this is exactly the lane for me. And you're able to make hard decisions. Many times I think we get stuck, and we second guess ourselves, we question ourselves,
Oh yeah.
we delay action because we don't trust our skills or abilities. However, I think when you become that guru, when you become influential enough in your own right, that you understand who you are and what you're capable of, nobody can tell you about yourself. And so
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I remember in this whole Deion Sanders Coach Prime situation is, there was the period of time with that particular coach, where there was a question of who is SWAC. Well, here's what's going to happen now, right? You're going to have people that are going to say, who is Pac? Because he's now going to the Pac 12, or who are going to say that he's definitely not SWAC now, because
Right.
he's proven. However, here's the pushback. Who is to tell him who he is? Who,
Everybody.
who is to tell any of us who we are? We have to make that decision. We can let people tell us who we are, or we can choose to be who we are,
Mm-hmm.
irregardless of people's pushback. So, I think a lot of the lessons that can be learned in watching what's happening this week, it just reminds me of us as a community. We are lost, and we somehow want someone to come and swoop in and be the savior of us. And I'm like, Deion's not your savior.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. He's a man. He's a human being who is going to make decisions for himself
And his family.
and his family before all else. Now, can he provoke change and still do things for self? Absolutely.
Well, he's shown that. He's already shown that. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Now, what I would love to see from Deion, because to me, the sign of a true guru, a true expert, is understanding impact and influence. I
Mm-hmm.
would have appreciated if he had acknowledged the sentiment that is out here, acknowledged the fact that there are people that believe that he is and acted like a hypocrite. He said a lot of things. He sold it really good, right? He sold it
Mm-hmm.
really good. But unfortunately, he's left a lot of people feeling hurt. I would have appreciated if he had taken a moment to acknowledge that and apologize for the impact that that statement had when he came in. We as historically Black colleges and universities, we need to level the playing field. Well, you did to a degree. You gave some light to a situation, and that light is still there. And if Jackson State and all of the other HBCUs take heed of the message that was provided, there's no reason that they can't continue the push. Jackson State right now is left at a high level in terms of setup. Now, obviously, the program itself is going to be a bit in shambles because he's taken quite a few players with him. He's taken, quite a few of the staff with him. However, if their program is what they're supposed to be, and they now have all the facilities and the resources, bring yourself a good coach into the mix. Work on recruiting some kids into the mix. You have a winning season back to back. SWAC champions. That's marketable. So Rigo says Deion Sanders gave notoriety to HBCU, which didn't have before. Now he's going over to the Pac-10, which has notoriety, so he can advance himself. As like he says, he wasn't going to the NFL soon. Okay, got a
Mm-hmm.
good point. Got a good point.
So he's doing his thing, and I'm very proud of him for doing his thing. I think that we do need more committed people to support historically Black colleges and universities. We do need people who probably are willing to make somewhere between a 5 and 10 year investment, because we do need that type of professional support, I think. So, I mean, overall, I say, yeah, as an entrepreneur, take care of yourself, take care of your family, look out for you first. But at the same time, we do need people that are more committed for kind of like a longer term impact overall. But
Yeah.
one of the things I wanted to ask was, when someone comes to us, is it the entrepreneur that decides they're the guru, or is it the customer, the client, that makes that decision? Who should be making that decision as far as your everyday entrepreneur? How do we get that title?
I personally, and I'm just going to speak for myself, I personally think that if you don't know who you are, it doesn't matter whether the customer thinks you're a guru, because you're going to question yourself. I think that we as the entrepreneurs make that decision. We have to initially. And I think that it comes from you breaking down the things that kind of make you question your abilities. Because we know when we're doing the thing that fits us. We know when we're doing the thing that we have a handle over. That, someone asked me about something that's in my wheelhouse, that I can spit that out without even hesitation. It's almost like I'm an autopilot. So we know when we're at that point. The problem is we get lost in the mix and we think other people's opinions are more important than our own opinion of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I feel like the entrepreneur mindset is key. And we are the ones that make the determination. Now, what falls in line with that is the customer or the client acknowledging our skills and abilities. But I think we as the entrepreneurs are the first leg of that.
I agree with that. I would say pretty much that's my view also. I think in business, we have to decide when we're at that master level or guru level to hold ourselves out saying we are more experienced than most of our competition, or you've tried the rest, now you need to try the best. And so when you definitely hold yourself out there, you need to be able to back it up. But I think your customers also and your clientele also confirms that for you with their support and them also saying things and referring business to you. I think you're absolutely right about how that works. So this is a good question. As far as as what makes you a guru?
Are you a guru in your
Are
business?
you a guru in your business? Are you on the master level? Can you hold yourself out above the rest? And if not, even if you can't say you're a guru, I think our goal in business should be to strive to differentiate ourselves from other businesses. So
Yeah.
we always have an angle to stand out and make ourselves different.
Now, I want to touch on something that you just said about getting someone who's more committed in the HBCU space. Because to me, now that goes into the HBCU business, right? These institutions are businesses, they are running operations that require levels of accountability and levels of, I would say, an initiative. And one of the things that I recognize with this whole Dion situation is you can bring in a superstar to do all kinds of things. But one thing you're not going to do is get that superstar to stay. You just can't. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like that's not a logical connection here, because when you have someone who is a superstar like a Deion Sanders, they're not going to stay at your school. I'm gonna like if you think they're gonna stay at your school, something's wrong with you. Like they're not gonna stay at your school. No superstar is going to be stuck in position, because you have to calculate this is a job. It's a job. And what happens when we work jobs, Lisa? We move
We
through levels, right? We
Yeah,
elevate, we move through levels.
yeah.
That's what we do.
Yep, I'm clear on that. I'm clear on that. That Dion made a contribution, and at the same time that he's looking out for himself. He is a guru of sorts in the sports arena. He definitely has swag, and he brought that swag to the SWAC. And he's kind of like a butterfly, though. He's kind of touch and go. So it's okay with me if that's his style. But as I stated, we do need long term commitment in historically Black colleges and universities for different reasons. So when they look for future folks to help out, I'm sure they'll be asking what that commitment level is like. I think they should ask that moving forward.
Well,
I
well,
would,
that's the piece. I don't think they invited Dion to be there for a lengthy period of time. They knew what they were doing when they brought Deion Sanders to that school.
well, there
This,
you go.
you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
when I think of the business piece of this, I think those of you that are HBCU alums, those of you that are current HBCU students, the presidents of your schools, the commissioners of the conference, they need to be held accountable for selections. And the school population should be involved in some of these decisions as well. It's great in theory to bring in a star, but it's also greater in theory to bring in somebody who is either already invested, because they do have folks that were already on the coaching staff. Why not elevate somebody that's on your staff who already has the formula. Because Dion was a manager type coach. He had people dealing with defense and offense and special teams. He was a manager, a facilitator. He's not the one out there running with the kids, right? So there are people that are qualified to do some of the things that we're talking about in terms of the commitment level that have already been committed. The problem is that what the HBCU system is looking for, or are they looking for folks to shine light? Because you have to pick a direction, right? You can shine the light for a little bit, but then you have to lean in on who's going to carry this torch. Light's already shown, right? Who's going to carry the torch to move forward? That's a business decision. That's not an employee decision. So that's
Absolutely.
my 2 cents.
I hear you. And as we continue to talk, I have a few things I'm going to share. I'm going to share my screen here in a moment, but continue to ask yourself, are you a business guru? And what makes you a guru? It wouldn't be a bad idea to actually take those thoughts that you have, that what the things are that make you a guru, and write them on paper, and to look at them and to find ways to market that to your clients and your future clientele. So I think it's great. I think it's when you think you're a guru and you feel that way about yourself in business, I think that shines in your confidence. I think that shines in how you deal with people, how you attract new business, all of that. So continue to be a guru, and don't forget to market yourself as a guru. That's one thing I will add to this conversation in general. So now I'm going to share my screen, Sandy, because we're probably going to turn a corner just a little bit, but this is really kind of interesting here. So let me see if I can share this. 1 second.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay. So guys, now you probably have heard about a story. Two anchors, Amy Robach and TJ Holmes, were taken off the air for their romantic relationship. And that just happened recently. And who doesn't know these two anchors? They're very popular. They're both very attractive. And I think they're both very married. Excuse me. But needless to say that someone in on the news side had been following them for a while, found some pictures that kind of established that they were in some type of affair relationship, threatened to expose them. TJ basically Holmes poured cold water on it when it was kind of rumored, like, just crap out there. But then this source went ahead and produced the evidence that they had, and turns out it was true. The two are having an affair.
Yeah.
Now,
oh boy,
I raised this though to talk about when you are perceived as being very successful, when you're perceived as being guru-ish in your career. Like, why do people make decisions like this to take themselves off of the guru status? When you're like way up there, and I mean, I know we're human, Sandy. I know we're human, but these folks, honestly, to me, were at the top of their game in the news journalism industry.
Yeah, I think the challenge with these types of situations, and we have to put ourselves in the employment thought process, right? You're in a workplace, you're working for hours on end with somebody, and you're spending a great deal of time with someone. It's a very weird space to be in. And then you have these folks who, they have a spouse at home, and, they're spending a great deal of time with other people. These things happen more than we really realize. And the unfortunate part is, when these stories come out, personally, I don't think these stories should be broadcast, but unfortunately they are all the time. Mm-hmm. And the people that are at the helm of the story, it's like, these days, it just seems like they don't give a damn. Like, they don't care. They just think like this is okay. And I'm like, this is something that really harms your image. It harms your reputation. It makes people see you in a different light. And it's just like, why would you, like, why? Because it's my understanding, am I correct in saying that they had separated from their spouses prior to them actually making their relationship public, but there had to be something in the milk before. Like there was something stirring in that milk.
Well,
It
I
didn't.
don't know that they actually made their relationship public as opposed to someone else making it public for them. But
I
they
mean,
both, I think they're both married and they're probably separated. There are probably some circumstances in each of their relationship, but they didn't do anything illegal. In some of the text of this article, it talks about the fact that what their relationship is not a violation of the company policy.
right.
However, they were still taken off the air by management because management has to make a decision as to what is best for the news agency. And until they figure that part out, they just said, well, we're going to take you off the air because, you're affecting our brand and we got to figure out how to deal with this before we put you back out there and decide how we put you back out there, if at all. So do
I
you agree with that they, even though it wasn't company policy for them to have a relationship, that they kind of messed up the brand and that's why they're off the air?
I think what messes up the brand is the response to the issue. That's what I feel like. I think many times these companies cause more damage than good in the way that they present the issue. Like present the issue as it is. If they're going to talk about it, then talk about it. Were y'all with your husbands and wives at the time? Or were y'all separated? Is there something more that we need to know the story and then we can move on? The problem is these things come out, and the reason I said that they kind of made this public is if you're out in the public, someone's going to catch you, especially if you're on TV every day. So if you're out in the public, you're basically saying, hey, we out here. So you can't be surprised now when it's blasted everywhere because we're in the age of social media. But when the news station gets the whiff of this, it's kind of like, can we just get a response to what's going on instead of us assuming? Because right now what happens is it spreads like wildfire. We as consumers are having our own impressions. You're going to have people that think, oh, CNN, these liberals, and they're going to think all these things instead of just address the issue. Taking them off the air only makes people ask more questions.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so they did that based on they have to protect their brand.
Yeah.
And again, that's as opposed to saying that these two folks violated any company policies, which is not the case, but they definitely have affected the brand.
I mean, I'm sure that they have an effect on the brand. I just think that when you take them off the air, you're saying something's wrong here. And
yeah, y'all done
now
messed
you're
up our
coming out.
brand. You messed up our brand. You guys are married. You causing all type of attention to be focused on you, and that is not the news of the day. How about that? It shouldn't be.
Good morning, Doug. Good morning. Well, here's my problem with all of these stories coming out as if this is surprising. Like they bring these stories out as if it's surprising, and then they come back and like, well, it wasn't a violation or it's not. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure that there was some information that was available before this, because if I'm not mistaken, they had pulled Homegirl into the office before about this situation. So there has to be something that was either known and addressed at a previous time. So when this came out, I don't think this was a surprise, because if I'm not mistaken, Homeboy was living in his own place and she was living in her own place. I'm thinking I'm correct in saying that. At least that's what the information that I've seen says.
Okay.
So this is not surprising to the station, and even their relationship. I'm pretty sure that there were some signs and whispers, because as I said, Homegirl was pulled into the office. I don't know if he was, but she was pulled into the office some time back. And as far as them separating from their spouses, it's my understanding they both separated from their spouses in August. Convenient, right? Both of us separate from our spouses in August, and then now we're in a relationship. Bruh, there's been a relationship brewing for quite some time. This is not like something new. And the only thing that I hate about these situations is this is not really for public consumption. And I get how it impacts the brand, but to me, it lengthens out the issue when you try to just remove them from the screen as if it's not happening. Either have them address it or
Sandy,
keep it moving.
that would be crazy for real to have them continue to sit up on the air every day doing the news, acting like everybody doesn't know what's going on with those two behind the
Let me
scenes.
ask you a question. Are they back on the news?
No, I don't think they are at this point.
I could have sworn they were back on the news. So let me look at this again.
Are you serious?
Let me look at this again.
This is just from yesterday. This article said they were pulled. So let me get back in here real quick. But the point that I'm making, guys, is that these two folks are at the top of their game. I consider them journalism gurus, right? They are what you have called they've made it. They've made it to the top. And yet, by their very own acts or selfish acts or whatever you want to call them, they now have been tainted, so to speak. Not that they can't survive this, not that it's not like we live in Iran or Iraq or somewhere where they're going to be stoned or put to death. That's not the situation. It's not even a violation of company policy at this point. But there are certain things when you want to stay on that guru level, there are certain ways you have to carry yourself. There are certain things you're going to do, and there are certain things that you're never going to be accused of. And you have to make those decisions for each and every one of us has to make those decisions for ourselves. So that's
So
why I brought this up.
so I think I was mistaken about one thing. So I think he was on air a day without her, and then they both were taken off air. So that was my thought process. There was
Mm-hmm.
a day that she wasn't on the air, but he was, which was strange to me because I'm like, it's either you have a problem with both of them, you got a problem with only one. Like, I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're back on the air. It doesn't surprise me.
Right.
These situations, first of all, are personal situations. They don't have anything to do, to me, with HR decisions in this sense, unless you're telling me that they violated something. And if you're saying that it's not a violation, then I'm confused.
Well, the network president Kim Goodwin, she's a female lady. I'm glad to see a woman in that role. She said that that she thinks is best for the ABC News organization to just basically take them off the air while we figure this out.
Yeah, whatever. They knew what was up. I hate these little, I'm going to figure it out. You all knew what was brewing. Cut it out. Like, really stop.
It's
Bottom line,
probably a lot of that going on behind the scenes. It's just that the folks who are not really big, they don't make the news.
you said probably, this is rampant. Like, this is not new stuff. Now, is it right? No. But to act like this is like some shock that you hear these stories. We hear these stories all the time. We've heard it politically. We've heard it in all levels of government. We've heard it at all levels, whether it be education, the law. I mean, haven't heard stories of judges and lawyers, or judges and law students. I've heard this all my life. Like, this is not new.
What about race? Do you think race might have a kind of like some type of basis for this thing still having some wind in the story?
I mean, we are a country that does not, this black and white thing. We are a racial country, period. So there could be some undertones of that. I don't know. I don't know who her husband is. I don't know who his wife is. I don't know who the influential players are, because as we saw with the Ime Udoka situation, these decisions are not made based on like a policy issue. They're made on an emotional issue. That's what it is. They're not made on a policy issue. They're made on people's personal emotions about these situations. But it's, to me, selective, because I'm curious if maybe if this was a white guy with her, would it have been the same response? I don't know. That does make me curious.
I honestly think in this case, I don't think race has anything whatsoever to do with this. I really think it's their status and how people perceive them at the top of their game, and that this might have been an act that has caused them both to fall a little bit out of that kind of like that light, that bright light. But I don't think it has anything to, it could have been anybody. You got two families that are impacted by
Right.
two individuals' decisions. So this is, I always look to see if race is a factor because I'm sensitive to race things living in America.
Mhm.
However, this is the one time where I just don't see it.
I mean, I don't know. I don't watch this show. I didn't even really know who the heck they were until I heard this story. This is just one of those examples of things that I don't really care about. Like, I feel like sometimes there's an uproar for what? It's like they're gonna be back on TV in one way, shape, or another. Somebody else is going to be fine with what they're doing. Rigo says, bottom line, they're going to find out if they've been doing it way before they got divorced from each other. And if not, they'll get married, come back as a 2023 version of Regis and Kathleen. Ha ha. Rigo, the funny thing, Rigo, the funny thing that Rigo just said is that's actually true. Before we blink an eye, they're going to be back.
And they'll have their own television show.
Look at what they've done to, I always like to talk about Chris Brown. Chris Brown is a guru of, man, I always like to talk about Chris Brown because they do Chris Brown like, they had all this uproar, Chris, served his time, did the things that he was supposed to do, got himself together. And each time the brother is trying to come back and do his thing, they trying to stomp his behind out, but yet want to consume his music and consume his essence and consume all of his things, but they want to attack the person. And it's just like, when is enough enough?
Yeah, because what Chris needs to do is do some different marketing. He needs to do some marketing that deals with domestic violence and showing that he's learned a few lessons and that he wants to pass the message on to some other would-be domestic violence persons out there.
I don't agree. I think Chris was a young guy at the time this happened. Rihanna was young at the time this happened. He went through and paid his dues. He did what he was supposed to do. The situation came out. I saw his documentary where he actually told the full story of what happened and all that went down after that. And you know what? Chris is done. Leave him alone. Let him move on with his life. He does not need to come on here and do nothing. He needs y'all to leave him alone, let him do his music and continue the good work that he's doing for himself and for his life. Now, if you were to tell me he did something else, then yeah, sure, villainize him. But the brother's been doing what he's supposed to do. Leave him alone.
Well, I think that's debatable, but that's another that we might have to bring that up. I think we might want to talk about Chris Brown.
Oh, we could talk about Chris Brown. We're gonna make sure we bring out all the information because I'm tired of hearing people down Chris Brown. Good luck to you, Chris Brown. You're doing a great job. Keep going.
All righty now. And so here's this article right here, my last article. 10 countries with the least paid vacation. Guess who is number 2? The U.S. is number 2. The least paid vacations.
That's not surprising.
Paid vacations.
That's why they're getting it in at work. See, they don't got no vacation, so they at work getting it in.
So they're at work quiet quitting all the time because
They quiet quitting and having affairs. There you go. 2 things.
Because we don't get enough vacation. We need more vacation and whoopee time, huh?
It's a hotmess.com, child. We in a hot mess country.
So this report, which reviewed data on laws governing the annual statutory paid leave and paid public holidays in 197 countries, found that the United States is the second worst country in the world for paid vacation days.
Who's the first?
That's a good question because as I'm looking through the article, I actually concentrated on the U.S., but not thinking about who's number 1. So I'll go through as we're talking and pick that out of the article. But what are your thoughts on that in general? That we always talk about that the mindset and that we need to take care of health and wellness. Well, this is a great example that most American employees aren't getting that health and wellness break that they need.
Well, I mean, it's evidence in our health stats and you're looking at so many young folks who are passing away at a very early age, whether it be in their 20s and 30s or in their early 40s and 50s. So I think our lifestyle is conducive to, grind all night, long nights, late nights, early mornings. I'll sleep when I die. Just work, grind, hustle. Every day I'm hustling. But what they don't realize is, you could hustle every day, but you're not going to be enjoying the fruits because when you pass away, your family is going to be enjoying the fruits or arguing over the fruits. So to me, it's like we got our priorities twisted. I'm not saying that you can't work hard, but what I'm saying is if you're working so hard that you can't even take a breath, what are you working for? Your death?
There's no such
illness?
thing. I mean, that's not what are you working for? If you're working and not taking care of yourself and then all of a sudden you just like drop dead and die from a heart attack, what's the point? What's the point of working that hard and not taking care of yourself if it all it does is lead to your death, your
The
early
point
death?
is something Doug is saying. The uproar is great for ratings. So all that hype, he's talking about the previous story, but I like this. I liken this to what we were just talking about. All the hype that we do about work hard, hustle, grind, it's just hype. It's kind of like when people go to church and they hear these uplifting messages and they come out of church cussing people out in the parking lot. It's a lot of hype without purpose. So it's like if we really want to have like fulfilling lives, that work has to have some level of balance. Obviously it's not going to be 50-50, right? But it has to have some level of balance. It can't just be, oh, I'm grinding my wheels. Well, what does grinding do? Grinding breaks something down. It doesn't
Yeah.
build something up. It's a breakdown.
That's what's happening. We're like cogs and wheels. Studies, this is quote unquote, studies show that 50% of American workers are not taking vacation time. This lack of downtime could lead to burnout and stress, and in more severe cases, depression and mental health conditions. According to the American Psychological Association, 27% of US adults say they're so stressed they can't function. That's
Yeah.
almost 1 out of 3 Americans. Who is protecting the American worker? Who's standing up for the American worker?
The American worker has to stand up for themselves. Nobody's going to look out for you. In as someone who thinks back to my workplace experiences and now my experiences as an entrepreneur, you can grind if you want to. When you pass away or you get sick, they're going to find somebody to fill your spot. And as an entrepreneur, you can keep on grinding and grinding and grinding. Someone else will benefit and will reap the benefits of all of your hard work. So it's either you straighten out and figure out what you need to do to kind of pace yourself, because I've had moments like this where it's like, my mind is racing at night. I'm thinking about the work and work and work and work. And then I stop and I think to myself, what happens if something happens to me? Or better yet, what happens when something happens to me? Because if I keep going at this pace, it's not going to build me anywhere. I'm going to crash. That's why sometimes we'll get sick, and sometimes you get that random sickness and it just lays you out and you start to wonder, man, how did I get this sick? It's because your body is telling you, sit your behind down.
So that's why I'm happy that you and I, LearnBiz the podcast, is going to do a special show on how to protect your business in times when you get sick. Where this is coming right in the first of the year, we're going to talk about how to protect your business. When you break down, does your business get broken down and sit on the sidelines until you get back? Or
Right.
do you have something in place that business can continue to function while you recover? So we want to talk about those things because that's the real reality of life, right?
Right.
Right there. And by the way, the company that's above the US in terms of the least vacation days is Micronesia, honey. I didn't even know of a place called
Micronesia.
Micronesia. Is the continent. What do you mean continent? Oceania? What is there another continent that I'm not aware of? But at any rate, Micronesia, we might need to look this up. Hope this is not
Girl.
a joke article. Total paid vacation days 9. And we said the US what does 10, so they have beat the US by one less day of vacation. After that, we see the US total paid days 10. Not Nauru. Did you
No,
know
no.
about the continent of Oceania?
All I know is it's popping up as something near Australia.
All right.
I don't know where it is exactly,
Palau,
but
Kiribati. These places are not on my bucket list. They're
it's a
really not.
country spread across the western Pacific Ocean comprising more than 600 islands. And based on what I'm seeing is it's in the region of the Australia zone, Papua New Guinea and New Zealand, Indonesia. It's in that zone.
All right. Mexico, China, they're doing better than us. Mexico gives their folks 14 days. China gives their folks 16 days. Lebanon in Asia, listed here, gives their clients 17. Philippines, 17. And Nigeria does better than the US, gives their folks paid days, 17 days a year. Dang, they killing us in the US.
Doug said he's never heard of this whole Micronesia.
I
I
have not.
I can't even find it on the map. Like I'm trying to pull it up on the map, and all it's doing is bringing me to a region. This is weird.
um,
Only Lisa would have us looking at this.
wait.
Okay, he says he's heard of a few islands. So let
Okay,
me see what
so
islands I
these
see on this
places.
list.
With let me got Kiribati, Palau, Nauru.
I don't know, child.
But anyway, y'all learned something today. Y'all learned that there is a place in the world called Micronesia.
All right, I learned where I'm not going because it's too micro for my taste. Oh no, I'm in the wrong place. Hold on. It's closer to, oh, here it is. It's closer to India. So I would say just southwest of India, southwest of Sri Lanka, uh east of Saudi Arabia, east of some of the African countries. So it's in that Arabian Sea zone
Okay.
near the Indian Ocean, not far from the Bay of Bengal. It's a whole bunch of islands. It looks like the Maldives or Maldives
The
are just south.
Maldives.
The Maldives are just south.
It's a popular vacation destination, the Maldives. So yeah, those places are out there. Apparently, a lot of them are doing their little tiny baby, little tiny little baby, little tiny baby islands that are doing what they're doing a little bit better than US.
It don't make no sense. I don't know.
So
Well,
that's my contribution for the day. Not to depress anybody, but I just want us to know where we really stand. And as Sandy and I always talk about, we have to concentrate on mental health and wellness as entrepreneurs. Like while we're trying to make money, while we're trying to get clients, build our social media, all the things that we have to do, pay our bills, pay our taxes, you better take care of your health while you're working on all the rest of it.
yeah, do what you want. If you want to grind hard all day, keep grinding. You just breaking yourself down. You
Take
better
some
work.
vacation. Take some vacation time. All right, that's all I have.
All right, guys. Well, we truly appreciate you for tuning in to another episode of LearnBiz, the podcast here on YouTube. We also broadcast on LinkedIn and Facebook when Facebook agrees with us. Today, apparently not. But just want to remind you that we have our LearnBiz Entrepreneur Journal now available on Amazon. We already got and folks jumping on the bandwagon. We will be setting up a group of sorts so that we can do some journaling together and talk about some effective ways to use your journal. Lisa and I have been journaling since just before Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
every single day. It has been an enlightening process. It's allowed us to really think about things that we're learning in our business, things that we are taking some small steps to do, as well as celebrating the small daily accomplishments that we are experiencing. So definitely encourage you, hop on Amazon, type in the words LearnBiz Entrepreneur Journal, or you can click the link in the description, which will take you directly to our Amazon page and purchase your journal. Hey, if you don't want to purchase it for yourself, this will make a great, I won't say stocking stuffer because I don't even use stockings, but this will make a great gift for the holidays. It will make a great gift for the new year for those aspiring entrepreneurs, for those entrepreneurs that are in the trenches, and for those who are looking to make a shift and trying to take it to the next level. I know I am. I'm trying to scale
Yes.
for 2023. So let's go. Let's
Yes,
go.
let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
2023, here we come. And I'm telling you, we live and live in color, and we're going to do it.
Absolutely. So appreciate those who have purchased their journal already. Again, please consider purchasing one for your sister, your brother, that entrepreneur that you've crossed paths with all the time, that business owner. Purchase one, pop it in a little gift bag, and hook somebody up with this LearnBiz Entrepreneur Journal, now available on Amazon. Please don't forget to support us on Instagram at B is for Biz. Lisa has been blowing it up with some little videos and clips, and she just posted something yesterday about her journaling. Check out our YouTube shorts as well. You can also find us on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. So please subscribe to this channel. Make sure you like this video, share this video, and look forward to hearing your comments. If you guys have some thoughts about some of the things that we said, I know some of the stuff can be a little controversial, and I know I can be opinionated. Lisa can be opinionated, but
We
let us
both
know.
are.
let us know what your thoughts are. That's what we're here for. We
Yeah,
want to
and
have
if
some
there are
dialogue.
things that you want us to talk about, like if there are some things like, oh, I'd love to hear them talk about this, this, and this, don't hesitate to drop us a line and let us know. What's the best way for people to reach out and let us know about things like that?
Facts. And so we look forward in 2023. We'll probably bring back some guests. I know we haven't done some guests recently. We've been focusing on some news and tips and resources, but we have some guests in line. We've been thinking about some different people. So we'll be checking in with you guys very soon. So hope you have a fantastic Tuesday. We look forward to catching you again soon. I think I'm out this Friday, Lisa. So I have to remember we have to pre-record Friday.
Okay.
But check out our video on Friday. We're going to continue this train and enjoy your Tuesday, guys.
Have a great one.
Bye.